Alright, it's time to get to the space station as mentioned. Specifically the Blarg research station. For reference, you can actually skip the animations with triangle if I recall correctly. I think I'm gonna do that, eventually. So don't worry. Lovely place. Let me see if there's another weapon. Oh yeah, the taunter, but I don't have enough bolts yet. As I mentioned at the end of the previous part, sorry, go on.
It's just gonna say, as you can see, this is one of the more, well, space-oriented levels of the franchise. Get used to these, because this is arguably the bread and butter of Ratchet and Clank level tropes, I would say.
That is true, but interestingly enough, only occasionally the franchise will try to, play with the concept, the idea of, be actually about the dangers of space or something similar, something that you will see in a sci-fi movie like Event Horizon, for example. Most of the time will try to be more of a fun ramp. Anyway, here's another one of your gimmicks that you can have. Actually play as Clank. Obviously, it doesn't have as much of a robust moveset as Ratchet, but these sections, as a result, are there for puzzle solving more than anything. You still have a free combo and you can glide, but your jumps are very pitiful as a result. So the game tries to compensate that by try to do something different, which you're about to see, if I remember correctly.
He typically will go places where Ratchet can't go, like for here, out in the open vastness of space, since kind of need to breathe.
And the franchise will try to play around. The franchise will try to play around with the concept by sometimes having plot reason why Ratchet and Clank are separated and they have to meet each other. So there's also that.
Jump, then press and hold the X button again while in the air to glide.
There you go. Clank can also grab onto ledges, thankfully, so, again, in all yeah, pretend you haven't seen that clipping. 10 out of 10, working as intended. There's also a golden bolt hidden here, but I think I'm gonna get it off screen. When it comes to, usually these levels are also populated by small enemies. It's a bit similar in terms of concept of levels that Sparks can actually go through in Spyro 3. The enemies are up to scale, so the smaller enemies for the main characters become, normal sized, for the sidekick in this case. Interestingly enough, again, you would think that it would make Clank actually be the health bar for Ratchet. I do wonder if it was considered at some point. But considering again the title is referring to the characters as a duo rather than just a simple adventure like Sparks. Poor Sparks did not really get any time to shine in the titles. So the only major difference is, of course, the type of gameplay that instead of being actually on rail, not on rail, but shooters, is puzzle solving. Sparks on rail shooters are in a Hero's Tale, and those are bleh. But there was an attempt. Yeah, there's the gold vault. Yeah, here's another thing. The moving between ledges, both for Ratchet and Clank, is still very slow. Thankfully, it will be, sped up in future games, but the PS2 era had an unhealthy obsession in slowing to a crawl your movement when your character was grappling onto something. I had no idea what was the thought process.
Wait till say Age of Darkness.
Oof. Because, as you mentioned, Lara Croft did it, this did it. Crash Bandicoot did it, I'm pretty sure a couple of others did it. Anyway, here's Clank's gimmick. Not necessarily mind control, but an RTS-esque, mechanic where you go around with these gadget bots, and you give them different commands. Staying, following you, entering into a portal, in this case, attack. Basically, if there's an enemy that's bigger than you or a big group of enemies, you can just seek them onto them, you know. There you go, and they usually do the job, and usually they respawn, so it's not like if they get killed you get an instant game over. It's just a matter of potentially backtracking, you know, throughout the level.
Although I admit, as a kid, I always assumed that they were killing themselves walking into those places where you kind of need a certain number to proceed.
And there's our reward, which we'll be able to showcase it too. Oh yeah, and this also premieres one of Clank's signature quirk. Despite, you know, him being more calculated and everything, he has sense of humor. Not necessarily to a fault, it's just that sometimes it gets fucking weird. And this usually is associated with him having, not even kidding, the Scooby-Doo laughter. It's just a thing that happens. Oh shit. Sorry. Well, at the very least this spawned me back at the entrance, so I don't have to do that much of a leg walk. Alright, let's get back the weapon to Ratchet.
I'm back.
So you are.
And I found this.
Hey, cool. It's a, what is it?
A hydro displacer.
Great. I always wanted one of those, I guess.
Basically, there you go. This gadget, I forgot the name, hydrocynator, I forgot. Basically, the gadget allows us to move bodies of water. Let's just say it sucks in bodies of water and then, you know, pulls them back in context-sensitive places. And we also can get this other weapon from before, the Taunter. This one doesn't have ammos at all, and it literally just serves to literally grab the enemy's attention and, you know, making them close to you. Why would you even do that? Well, if you set up a trap, like if there's a clear laser in front of you, but the enemy stands, you know, in front of you, you might as well, you know, try to trick them into basically going into the lasers themselves. It's not super useful, and as a result, it kind of fade out. I don't even think it's that much recurring. I don't even think it shows up in any other game than this. Maybe one of the spin-offs, but I honestly don't remember.
This shuttle has an autopilot which
Basically, this is for another side mission tied to the place, again in true Spyro style. But the point is that the Taunter basically fade out. The water suck cannon instead, like I said, it's applied only to context-sensitive places, but it's there to literally making sure that, you know, the water level gets raised or not accordingly to where you need to go. That one is slightly recurring, not as much, but, you know, it has its presence, particularly in the original trilogy. And of course, this being a docked Blarg battleship means that they are Blarg soldiers. We started seeing them from the previous planet we've been. Basically, they're already starting to, you know, upping the ante a bit when it comes to looks, because they take more punishment, and as a result, they can also deal more. Particularly also with these variants that have a shockwave-like attack on the ground. Also, this ship is kind of tilted. Like, the director of Battlefield Earth took over.
I'm wondering if the idea is to give the idea that it's kind of wrecked in a sense.
Yeah, it's
with
not
that,
in a. It's okay,
angle.
but it's not in a disaster. It's not even in a complete good state. So.
Honestly, I wouldn't have been surprised if they were trying to go for some alien vibes too, with the haunting vibe.
Maybe, but doesn't strike to me. Again, like I said, if there's something that is instead recognizable from Insomniac, is that they are fans of old school, you know, shooters like Doom. So this is more probably constructing a small set piece with the resources that they had, which, you know, reflects a bit a lot of stuff from the modding community that had. Oh, Dweebs, should we press the big red shiny button?
Yeah, go
What
for
could
it.
possibly go wrong? Oh,
Ooh, what does this button do?
For selecting our automated
well, at least we
self-destruct
unlocked the
feature.
door with the
Once an
Holobot,
annihilation
at
sequence
the very
initiated,
least.
Please remove all
Also, I
personal
love how this
belongings.
implies there's a company that gets licensed for making self-destruct buttons.
Probably Gadgetron, it's always them. Anyway, you had 45 seconds to get out of a ship. It's basically like your average Metroid, you know, in this sequence. So try to ignore the enemies. There we go. As you can see, it's still relatively easy.
I want to see what happens if you stayed on the ship.
You get a game over, Glitch. What would you think is going to happen?
Yeah, well, I like these kind of non-standard game overs.
It is not a Space Quest, Lives. Stuff like that doesn't happen. Alright, let's get the Holobot.
This is Darla Gratch reporting live from Blackwater City. We've just learned that Captain Quark will be presenting the grand prize at the Intergalactic Hoverboard Championship, which will be held here over the next few days.
Oops.
In related news, this planet has recently been suffering from an infestation of strange amoeboid creatures. The city's administration has assured this reporter that every step has been taken to eradicate these nuisances. Darla Gratch, Channel 2 News.
I'm sure she's
that
fine.
Was that was my last broadcast.
Oh, it's okay. She's literally replaceable. We'll just make another robot version of her.
Hoverboard races.
So if you uploaded her memory into the cloud.
Yeah, the original PS2 games definitely feel like inspired by the same kind of wacky, somewhat risque humor you see in a lot of 90s cartoons. Considering it came out right after the 90s ended, right? But then when you get into the future saga, clearly the inspiration was more Pixar movies in comparison to these.
Which gaming journalist clearly got attached to that, but again, it's a story for another time.
I definitely have some seesawing feelings on that.
Again, story for another time. There you go. This is a place where you can actually use the taunter, but this specifically for that Blarg soldier. What an idiot.
What a maroon.
I honestly don't even know how that, again, when it comes to beasts, I get it, but when it comes to the actual enemies, like, it just pisses them off, I guess. We will actually get a mind control weapon by the time of the future saga, so, you know, that one makes sense, because it literally brainwashes you, but, I don't know, just felt weird.
Guessing maybe they were going for more of a Looney Tunes vibe with that one. The mooks that literally get tricked right to their doom.
Probably. Or by, well, okay, to be Baby Genius logic instead, it will have to be that they lampshade what they're about to do and say that it's not gonna happen, and then it happens anyway. Reminder that the maker of that wrote to the Tekken 2 movie. God.
Wait, really? Dang.
Yes, when we commented on that, I discovered that, yeah, so that's actually what happened.
I mean, I guess I shouldn't be too surprised since the quality lines up, but still, damn. I mean, I guess we have to ask, did his career get better or worse going
I haven't
from that
checked
to
because,
Tekken 2?
you know, it's been a year since we commented on that, but honestly, I wouldn't be too surprised if not much happened.
Well, okay, better question. Which do you think is better or worse than the other? Like, would you take Baby Geniuses or Tekken 2?
I, for one, choose that. Okay, if I had to genuinely choose between the two, God, I don't even know. I guess if I had to scrape the bare minimum, I guess Baby Genius is an original story, is not shitting on existing IP. I guess. But that means nothing, really.
Oh yeah, like, I mean, look. Considering something better than Baby Geniuses or Tekken 2 Kazuya's Revenge, like, the bar ain't even on the ground. The bar is at a subterranean level. I guess also, though, it really does make one wonder just how one goes from this to that. And the thing is, Tekken 2 is so bad that, yes, we considered it a disgrace to the first live-action Tekken movie, which, okay, I'll be honest, I don't think was the worst, but it was far from the best as well.
I put it like this, Joe. When it comes to video game live-action adaptation, I'll take both the Street Fighter movie and the Mortal Kombat movie, including the new one, you know, any day. I cannot speak for the King of Fighters yet because I had to rely on what Deji told me, so I don't know the actual quality. I guess I'll take even Dead or Alive because at least that one is having fun with the concept. It knows how the franchise is silly at the very least.
I've heard the Dead and Alive movies handle themselves relatively well.
It's nothing that elevates the medium nor a good adaptation objectively, but at the very least you're having more fun than, you know, watching something like Tekken live action.
Which, to be fair, if you're not playing to get titillated, you are playing to have fun with Dead or Alive.
Alright, since I only did partially explained at the end of the previous part, there you go, this is our new weapon, basically mini drones that, you know, in this case taught by the glove, you know, allows you to create walking mines, basically. That's what they are, because instead of attacking properly enemies, but in future games they will actually be more developed, you know, sometimes they will evolve by carrying more weapons, or potentially they will instead fly instead of, you know, being on the ground. So again, they will actually improve the concept. In this case, there are a couple of things that make this game having definitely early installment weirdness, but not necessarily to a fault. The game is still perfectly, you know, enjoyable to be played on its own, even if, you know, the gameplay evolved drastically as the sequels went on. There you go, there's another gold vault. Like I said, I won't show all, you know, getting me all of them, but I will get them on screen. Alright, next room. There you go. The blaster, basically, like you said, despite being shaped like a handgun, functions like an actual machine gun, as you can see, very rapid fire. You just need to watch out a bit because it consumes, obviously, ammo just as fast. See if I can evade them. Yes, there you go. Like I said, for the purpose of this game, the taunter has its use, but it's still relatively, you know, specific, and I can see why they're not stuck.
It's just one of those things that was useful for the time, but they came up with a better alternative for.
Okay, we're talking about aliens, Jova. I guess it's supposed to be artificially cleanable. The design of the skull and the quadruple may remind me instead of, God, I forgot the name. Basically, since we haven't been adapted into a movie yet for the MCU, there's an alien species in the Marvel universe that is shaped kinda like that, and they're a bit nasty. They tend to, you know, do similar to the xenomorphs and, you know, inject you with their eggs. One of the species befriended Hulk, you know, during the saga of Planet Hulk. Again, I completely blanked on what the name of the species is supposed to be.
This now's a good time to mention, but yeah, when it comes to this game, some of the bosses kind of just come and go. Don't get me wrong, some do get a proper cutscene.
It's one of the faults of a franchise. Like I think I mentioned during the Resistance, is when it comes to Insomniac, boss fights tend to be a coin toss. Either you get something that is really enjoyable, or you get something that is at best unmemorable or complete dog shit at worst. When it comes to this franchise in particular, most of the bosses tend to be reduced to shoot the old school cyber demon mentality with Doom. Shoot at it until it dies. there are some gimmicks sometimes, but they're clearly not super elaborated. Sure, I'll still take that over having to shoot a generator, you know, flickering lights like in Resistance 1 and 3, definitely, but you know, I can imagine they would be able to be better, because again, the boss fights in the Spyro games tended to be, for the most part, you know, working fine. Okay, outside from the first game. The first game barely had something that could be qualified as bosses to begin with. But you know,
even for the final boss of Nasty Nork.
Yeah, it's literally just a chase, nothing more, nothing less. But again, starting with the sec, for both Spyro 2 and 3, I would argue the boss fights were really solid.
Yeah, I can definitely agree with that.
Must have left the cages open again. You could come down now. Honestly, a gadget engineer deserves a bit more respect, if you ask me. So,
Fun fact, this particular NPC in my country was voiced by our country's voice actor for Goku, and this was actually one of his last roles before he sadly passed away. Yeah, like, don't get me wrong, the person that they got, you know, to replace Goku in both DB Super and respectively, and then the OVAs have been technically fine, and there was nothing they could do because this previous one had, you know, a much more unique voice, but alas. Anyway, we got the grind boots, of course paying up for them, which allows you to, of course, grinding rails. Compared to Sonic, this is much more primitive technically. You move at a slower pace, as you're about to see, and, you know, there isn't too much of a challenge, but hey, I'll take that as long as I can actually hit the fucking rail instead of clipping through it.
Well, the thing is too, like when we get into the boost games, the rails in Sonic start working more like Ratchet and Clank rails. So.
And as you can see, you can still lean. The leaning mechanic is not super utilized, believe it or not. You think you'll be able to use it to dodge lateral obstacles, but not really. When it comes to giving you a challenge for the rails, it's usually either jump over an obstacle or use the wrench to actually hit something before it hits you. But again, nothing too wrong about it, but it feels like it's a bit of a waste of potential.
It's rudimentary, but I guess I get it, you know, first game in the series.
Alright, next part, we will actually, as we're about to go, we'll go to planet Ralgar, or Railgar, not exactly it's pronounced, which, as shown by the Autobots, is infested by amoebas, and also is having the hoverboard tournament, so if you want a minigame, we'll be able to see. See you for that.
See ya.